Our top focus on the special broadcast on India Today is over the horrifying story that came in from Karnataka's Dharmasthala. We've been reporting on this here on India Today for the last many days of a former sanitation worker at the Dharmasthala temple claiming that for decades he was burying bodies in Dharmasthala. Now, he's not said exactly where, but according to him, the number goes to hundreds. That over decades, over many years, he buried little girls' bodies, women's bodies, and he claims that these were victims of rape, who he then buried, and he claims all of this was a cover-up. Who's the accused? Who was he doing this for? Well, he hasn't really named anyone just yet in his complaint, which we'll take you through in just a bit. The former sanitation worker has said that there are very influential people involved, that he needs full protection before he reveals all the details. But after India Today had reported on the story, after sustained pressure from us, the Karnataka government has finally acted. The state government has formed a special investigation team to probe these chilling allegations of disappearances, of sexual abuse and murders spanning over 2 decades. Here are all the details first.
It's a big India Today impact. After days of relentless focus on the alleged Dharmasthala mass murders, the Karnataka government is finally taking strong action. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has now ordered a full-fledged SIT probe into charges of disappearances, sexual abuse and murders. A special investigation team or SIT headed by top cop P. Mohanty will investigate the claims and ghastly crimes in and around the holy town of Dharmasthala.
To look into Dharmasthala issues, there has been a complaint, there has been a public hue and cry. Government has taken note of all this and then constituted an SIT to look into this entire thing.
This move is welcomed by Karnataka BJP.
ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಸ್ವಾಗತ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಧರ್ಮಸ್ಥಳದ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದವರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ನಾವು ಕೂಡ ಅದನ್ನು ಸ್ವಾಗತವನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ವಿಚ್ ಹಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತು ಧರ್ಮಸ್ಥಳ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುವಂತ ಜನ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುವಂತ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಇದುವರೆಗೆ ನಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದಿದೆ ಅವೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ಅಲ್ಲಿಯ ಸ್ಥಳೀಯರಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ಸ್ಥಳೀಯ ಪೊಲೀಸರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ.
Long ignored patterns of missing women, unnatural deaths, murders and sexual assaults in Dharmasthala spanning more than 2 decades will now be probed. The investigation began gaining traction after a whistleblower came forward with horrifying claims. He alleged that corpses of several women and girls, including school students, were found naked, bearing visible signs of violence and possible sexual assault. The whistleblower says he was threatened, warned that he too would be cut into pieces if he spoke out. Now families of the missing are breaking their silence. Sujata, whose daughter went missing during a college trip to Dharmasthala in 2003, says she was assaulted and silenced when she sought justice.
ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನಾನು ಬಂದೆ, ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬಂದ ಮೇಲೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು 4 ಜನ ಬಂದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮಗಳನ್ನು ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡೋಗಿ ಕೈಯೆಲ್ಲ ರೂಮಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಹಾಕಿ ಕೈಯೆಲ್ಲ ಕಟ್ಟ ಹಾಕಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ ಗಾಯಗಳಿದ್ದಾವೆ.
From ignored complaints to buried bones and silenced testimonies, every unanswered question now demands attention as the SIT steps in. Across nation, there is one hope: justice, truth and dignity for the daughters who were possibly failed. With Sagay Raj, Bureau Report, India Today.
Absolutely shocking details that have emerged there from Karnataka's Dharmasthala. What really is the truth? This whistleblower claims that he helped in burying hundreds of bodies. Is that really the case? I want to bring in Sagai Raj, who's been tracking all the latest updates on the story. Sagai, finally, you've had the Karnataka government ordering an SIT. The special investigative team has already kicked off its probe, we understand. But the focus right now will be on whether we're going to be also seeing an exhumation happen soon. Sagai, for that to happen, is it on the basis of what the court decides, or can the government go ahead and do it?
I just spoke to one of the lawyers. He said that you don't require court's permission for exhumation, and in fact, if the police requires, they have to inform the court and go ahead with the exhumation. And if you notice that it is a big case, and FIR was a complaint was registered on 4th, and the ex-sanitation worker has given a statement on 10 days after registering a complaint. And if you notice that despite these many days, there is no headway, and in fact, he had given the statement after police assured that they will give the witness protection to him. But the same police, however, released a press release. The SP of Dakshin Kannada gives a press note stating that he might abscond after showing the place where he has buried the bodies, because it is quite shocking, because the police themselves are saying that he might abscond because he is under the observation of the police. The police is giving him a protection, and he is a part of the crime if he shows the dead bodies, and they can immediately arrest him at the spot. But why the police have to give these kind of press release saying that he might abscond, and there was no headway, and the police was reluctant to exhume the bodies, and even they are reluctant to go ahead with the case, and there was no press meet about this. There was just a press release, and this is not a tradition in the state of Karnataka. If you notice that there were multiple cases that have been reported in last 15 years, and in those cases there were no instances where police was reluctant to speak. Either the SP or the head of the department will come out and speak about the cases. But in this particular case, Dakshin Kannada SP remained to be silent, and in fact he issues a press release after press release saying that they have registered an FIR, they will investigate, but he was not giving any kind of details about the investigation, because the crux of the story comes, Akshita, only when they exhume the bodies from that burial place where he claims that he has buried the dead bodies. Unless you don't exhume the bodies, whatever the theories, whatever the explanation that the police can give, it's just lip service. You will not end up in the investigation.
You've raised the right question, and we're going to be talking about that. But Sagai, thanks for joining us for the moment. I want to bring in on this broadcast Sriram Nayak, an advocate and petitioner who's also in fact sought for a court-monitored probe in this particular matter. We also have A.S. Ponnanna, senior advocate, MLA of Virajpet constituency and legal advisor to the Karnataka Chief Minister. Mr. Ponnanna, I'd like to begin with you. The question that Sagai asked about why we've not seen an exhumation yet, that perhaps will answer all questions about what's happened in Dharmasthala, whether there is any truth to what this complainant has said. Why has that step not been taken yet?
Well, see, madam, these are all aspects purely in the realm of the investigation. How investigation must go on, what the police must do, is beyond anybody's jurisdiction, and must be left purely to the investigating agency to go about their work. All I can say is that end of the day, whoever has accused, whoever has been accused of, everyone must are in favor of getting to the truth. All of us here are working towards unraveling the truth. That is the end of the matter. If you
the challenge here, however, Mr. Ponnanna, is, if you look at the details that have emerged in this particular case, the first time that we actually heard of these allegations was a month ago on June 22nd. 1 month on, now you've got an SIT being formed. So there will be questions about whether the government kind of woke up late to what's happening in Dharmasthala and these allegations.
No, see, the allegations also we must understand relates to incidents which have happened some time ago. Not all of them are immediate in nature. Therefore, criminal law being set into motion has its own process. I am not trying to defend the time period, but all I can say is now we have constituted an SIT. It is headed by a DG rank officer, and going down, top IPS officers are part of the SIT who have great skills and experience in investigating crimes. I'm sure they will get to the truth, and they will come out with the real facts.
Okay, let me bring in also on this broadcast Mr. Sriram Nayak. Mr. Nayak, you've sought a court-monitored probe into what's happening in Dharmasthala. Why is that? The government has already set up an SIT. Why do you feel the need for a court-monitored investigation in this?
Madam, it has been done today. The court-monitored probe is only because the allegations are kind of very heinous, and the court, if in case the court monitors, there will be no interference of anyone. If the court monitors every week whatever has to happen or whatever has happened, then the probe will be on a right track. That is what we feel. Then that is why we had filed the letter petition before the High Court.
What do you think so far of really how the government has reacted to what's happening in Dharmasthala and these allegations?
As there was a delay, the FIR was filed on 4th July. Today we are on 21st July. So there is at least 3 weeks time. And after 14th July, when the witness gave his statement, that statement was leaked in the YouTube also, which is kind of disturbing. So that is basically that is the reason for which we have filed this petition, so that the court looks at it. Whoever has leaked that statement which the victim has given, not the victim exactly, the complainant. So that has to be probed into and looked at it in a serious manner. That is all is needed, nothing else.
This is the challenge, Mr. Ponnana. This is, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, an extremely sensitive case. Looking at what the complainant has said, he claims that, there are high-rung officials, part of the temple administration who could be involved in this particular case. There are attempts to gag the media also in this particular case, as you may have noticed. And then there are questions in such a sensitive case about whether there's a possibility of witness intimidation, which is why there's so much scrutiny on the probe right now. The faster the exhumation, perhaps the faster we get to the truth, the longer this SIT investigation happens, there's a lot more chance of tampering, of, intimidation to happen.
I do appreciate Mr. Naik's apprehension, and I can understand where he's coming from. But all I can say at this point in time is let us allow a free and fair investigation, which the state government assures Mr. Naik and everybody involved, including the accused are also stakeholders, complainants are stakeholders, victims are stakeholders. All of us as members of society are stakeholders when a crime is committed, because a crime is against society. All I can say is that be you ever so high, the law is above you. So the law will take its course. There will be a transparent and free and fair investigation into the matter. And if at all anybody is guilty, they will be brought to book.
Okay, that is reassuring definitely to hear, the fact that there have been these kind of messages that have come in from you, Mr. Ponnana. I also want your response to some questions that have been asked of political influence, of political interference in the investigation. Would you want to clear the air on that? Because there have been claims, particularly by the BJP, saying that these are attempts to tarnish the image of Dharmasthala.
No, the BJP is a desperate organization in Karnataka. Let us not deal with their statements and accusations. I think they have more to worry about than making accusations against the government. Like I've already said, there will be no interference. There was no interference. You can be rest assured, and we have a very proactive, public-spirited petitioner also with us. He can always move court if he finds any reason to do so. But I can assure you, and as I say this as a legal advisor to the Honorable Chief Minister, that there is no political interference. There will be free, fair, transparent investigation to unravel the truth. All stakeholders' interests will be protected.
Mr. Naik, what do you have to say about this? You've got a clear, direct assurance coming in from the government.
Basically, that is what was needed, first of all. Nothing else. Even in the petition, we have sought for free and fair investigation. If that is being done, then we do not have any other problems.
So you believe right now, going by what's happened in the investigation so far, and at least based on the assurance that's come in, that there will be a fair investigation?
Now the assurance has come today. SIT is formed today. So we'll have to wait and see what the SIT is going to do. Based on that only we can analyze. If in case it is not going in a right direction, then we can approach the court at any time. So anyways, SIT have to work.
Agreed, and I think that's something Mr. Ponnana has also said. But Mr. Naik, considering what's happened in this particular case and the fact that it's also been playing out in court, do you think the onus is also on the court now to ensure that the truth emerges, particularly that an exhumation happens?
That I cannot comment. Basically, it is completely up to the court whether to take it up or not.
Okay, Mr. Naik and Mr. Ponnana, thank you very much for joining us here on India Today. Let me get you now a report of what exactly the former sanitation worker had to say. He put out a rather explosive testimony that's brought decades of buried secrets back into the public eye. And this is the detailed complaint which started off this entire movement seeking justice and the truth to emerge. We don't know his details yet. This is how he was produced in court. covered completely in black, so there would be no details of his identity that's known, because he says that his life is at risk. There are horrifying stories of mass murder, of sexual violence, of a systemic cover-up that's emerged. Because mind you, what we're talking about, these alleged murders and rape that's happened, is from decades ago. And so there are questions about whether something that happened between 1995 to 2014, whether now, so many years on, they can actually find the truth. Listen in to what the whistleblower said.
I am submitting this complaint with a heavy heart and deep moral burden. I can no longer carry the pain, threats and guilt from the murders I witnessed and the bodies I was forced to bury. From 1995 to December 2014, I worked as a sanitation worker under the Dharmasthala Temple administration. My duties began as routine cleaning near the Netravati river and surrounding areas. But over time, they turned into something horrifying. I was ordered to dispose of dead bodies, many of which bore signs of brutal violence and sexual assault. At first, I believed the bodies were from suicides or accidents, but most were of women, many found naked or partially clothed, with signs of rape, strangulation and acid burns. I saw girls as young as 12 with school uniforms but no undergarments, and women with faces burned by acid, all buried or cremated under my forced supervision. I witnessed the murder of beggars, often strangled using towels, in locked rooms. I buried or burned hundreds of bodies in and around Dharmasthala, many times using diesel to incinerate them completely. Around 1998, I was explicitly ordered by supervisors not to report these to police, but to secretly bury or burn the bodies. When I resisted, I was threatened and told, "You will be chopped into pieces like them. Your family too will be sacrificed." In 2014, after a member of my family was sexually harassed, I fled Dharmasthala with my family and have been hiding in a neighboring state since, constantly moving out of fear. Those involved are members of the Dharmasthala temple administration and staff, but I cannot name them in the complaint due to their power and threats. Once I receive protection under the Witness Protection Scheme, I am ready to reveal full names and specific roles of the accused. Those who were buried deserve a dignified funeral. I plead with the authorities to unearth these remains and allow proper rites to be performed. I pray that these horrific crimes to be investigated with urgency and justice be delivered to the countless voiceless victims. If I am killed or go missing before disclosing the names, the truth may die with me.
So this is the complaint in Kannada which the whistleblower handed out, based on which an FIR has been filed. But like I said, this is a story that's rocked Dharmasthala for the last 1 month. So let's take you through when exactly this came to light, this allegation that there's a mass burial site in Dharmasthala. On June 22nd, last month, is essentially when this former sanitation worker first spoke out, alleging that he was involved in these kind of burials that had taken place since 1995. Now, right after that, on June 27th, lawyers came together demanding a formal inquiry into these claims. And that's when, it came into everyone's attention that something like this had happened. Right after that, on July 3rd, is when this former sanitation worker went ahead and lodged a complaint saying he was forced to bury these bodies. So that's when he officially became the whistleblower of this particular case. He filed a complaint, and the very next day, the Dharmasthala police registered an FIR in this matter. Now, after that, as per, in fact, this complainant's request, he was granted protection under the Witness Protection Scheme. He said that this is one of the conditions based on which he would decide whether to speak out and name every person involved, because he said that they were influential people involved. He said that people within the temple, the Dharmasthala temple administration, which is a very, very powerful body in Dharmasthala, they were involved too. So he said, if I'm going to name them, I have to be given due protection. So he is given protection under the Witness Protection Scheme. This was after he was produced in court. His identity still remains under wraps, but at this point, he hasn't given any names just yet. A day after that, skeletal remains allegedly exhumed from the gravesite were presented in court. Why are we saying allegedly? Because this is something that the whistleblower brought with him. He said, this is the evidence that I'm presenting, that there are many such burials that have happened. Mind you, some skeletal remains have been brought. There's still an investigation, a forensic investigation that's underway on these remains. But having said that, this man claims that this is just one of many. He says that he's buried hundreds of bodies. So on July 11th, the first of much more such evidence was put out. A few days later, 3 days later, the Karnataka Women's Commission also stepped in, urging the Chief Minister to take note to form an SIT to probe the deaths. But we're still a few days away from that actually happening. July 14th is the first time the request came in for an SIT to be conducted. Right after that, you had many others speaking out about missing complaints. On July 15th, an MBBS student's mother filed a complaint saying her daughter had disappeared in Dharmasthala in 2003. Now, according to the mother, she had visited Dharmasthala and then had no word of exactly where she is. She had complained then, but she filed another complaint now, seeing the allegations that have come to the fore. Remember again that this man claimed that the burials that he was involved in was from 1995 all the way to 2014. So if 2003 this incident happened, there's a big question mark about whether this MBBS student was also one of the so-called victims that he refers to. Days later, on July 18th, the first reaction came in from Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, who assured that there will be a detailed investigation and appropriate action. Right after that, 24 hours later, July 19th, 5 days after the first request came in for an SIT, the Karnataka government gave in to the demands, forming a special investigative team to probe the deaths, disappearances and sexual assault cases. Much needed because also there was a need for an impartial investigation. And then, yesterday was the first time the Dharmasthala temple body issued this statement. Breaking their silence, they came out with a statement seeking a fair, impartial investigation, saying we will fully cooperate, but we want complete fairness. Remember, BJP leaders have been questioning whether these allegations have come to the fore now because it's got some motive. They've said that they can't, that the temple administration must not be targeted unfairly. There should be no witch hunt. So there has been quite a bit of politics on that. As of today, the special investigative team has officially kicked off their investigation. So in the next few days, we should have more clarity on exactly what happens and how the investigation moves forward. But like I said, crucial and integral to really the truth emerging and what's happened in Dharmasthala is an exhumation. And so far, there's been no order from the court on that. There's been no order from the government. So with the SIT moving forward, the hope is that finally post that, the government will give the nod for an exhumation, because that will make it clear on whether this man is a whistleblower or whether he is someone with an agenda against the temple administration. The allegations he's levelled are extremely concerning, extremely worrying, and there will be questions about whether political interference is what ensured that from 1995 to 2014, this was completely kept on the down low and nobody knew. If hundreds of girls were being killed and their bodies were being buried, how is it that there was pin drop silence right up until now? These are questions that hopefully we will get answers on very, very soon. Let's get to breaking news that's coming in of a massive drug bust in Bengaluru. Cocaine worth 14.69 crore rupees was seized from soap boxes in Bengaluru, and two women from who hail from Northeast were arrested also in this particular case. In all, 7 kilos of cocaine was smuggled inside soap boxes that was busted by authorities. Right now, the initial investigation suggests that this is a high-level interstate smuggling racket that's been busted. Let me bring in Sagar Raj for more details on this. Sagar, extremely worrying really that this kind of drugs is being brought into Karnataka from other states. We understand that while this bust has happened, the clear attempt was to pass this off as goods that could go through as daily items. These were found in soap boxes.
Absolutely, and if you notice that the photos clearly shows that they were carrying box of soaps, and it was around 14.69 crore worth of cocaine which was being transported in that particular soap box. And thankfully DRA, which got a tip off on this particular transportation and of cocaine, they immediately tracked those people and arrested, and they have also secured this much amount of cocaine. And remember, Akshita, this is one particular case which has come to light where DRI got tip-off of it and be able to arrest. And there might be many cases such like this which shouldn't have come to their notice and still roaming scot-free in the society.
Okay, Sagai, thanks for those details. Let's move on to news from Tamil Nadu. Chief Minister M.K. Stalin has been hospitalized after a sudden health scare. He's been admitted to Chennai's Apollo Hospital after experiencing mild giddiness during his routine morning walk. This was the release that came in from the Apollo Hospital, which stated that the Chief Minister's symptoms are being evaluated and necessary tests are being conducted to assess his health. Pramod Madhav is joining us from Chennai with more details. So on this, Pramod, any update that you've been able to get from Apollo Hospital on the Chief Minister's current health? Has he been discharged?
Certainly, Akshita, he has not yet been discharged, but the last statement from the Apollo hospitals is that he had gone for his routine walk in the morning when he has actually felt kind of mild giddiness. But even after that, he had gone ahead and took part in the DMK party event where one of the organization secretaries for AIDMK joined DMK today, Anwar Raja, and post which he had some events in Kolattur, his constituency, and tomorrow he had planned to go to Tirupur district as well. But all that has been put on halt for now, and over Tamil Nadu is one of major event he was supposed to promote today. Everything has been put on hold. The Apollo hospitals have stated that a battery of tests have also been taken, and they are also going ahead and scrutinizing the results so far. Amidst this, Deputy Chief Minister Udinidhi Stalin went to the hospital to meet his father, and also senior DMK Minister Duraimurugan met with the Chief Minister. Later, he also spoke to us claiming that the Chief Minister is all right, he is fine, but Duraimurugan said that there is a possibility that he could even be discharged in the evening, but until now the Chief Minister has not yet been discharged. Probably we're expecting that, as per Duraimurugan, maybe in an hour or two he could be discharged, or the hospital could decide to keep him for some more time for another a set of tests as well, Akshita.
All right. Thanks, Pramod, for joining us with those details. The Chief Minister is currently in hospital, but going by the statements that's coming from the DMK and Apollo hospitals, nothing really to worry about, but Chief Minister Stalin is undergoing the necessary tests currently. And sticking to news from Tamil Nadu, let's also get you the latest on the hunt for the man who sexually assaulted a minor girl, a little girl in Tiruvallur of Tamil Nadu. It's been 9 days since that incident. The accused is still absconding. Fresh footage that's been released by the Tamil Nadu police shows the man on camera standing casually and watching people as they go by. This is footage from behind, so his face is not seen clearly. The cops so far have been struggling to really get details of exactly who he is, or for that matter, nab him. Let's get you details on the investigation so far.
A 10-year-old girl on her way to her grandmother's house, abducted and raped on 12th of July. Gagged and dragged, and then beaten up and raped. All caught on CCTV. But the Tamil Nadu police has failed to nab the culprit even after 9 days. India Today visited the scene of crime near the Arambakam railway station.
One perpetrator was kind of walking close to her on the right side, and as she was actually going on the left side, he started speaking to her. The child got startled, but even before she could react, he actually abducted her, closed her mouth, and took her through this gap between the fence into this spot. Almost for 20 minutes, the child had gone through this, and not just that, amidst all this, the child was trying to escape, but she could not, as the man was too strong, and she could not overpower him in this spot.
The alleged rapist is at large, even after his photos were released by the police, along with an appeal to the public to identify and inform. The police failure has pushed the opposition parties of the states to question the government. Cadres of the TVK, the party headed by Vijay, protested outside the police station on Sunday, demanding justice and immediate arrest of the culprit. The AIADMK also held a protest march demanding CM M.K. Stalin's resignation.
All the police stations are turning into kangaroo courts rather than delivering justice. The ruler who has got power should take action so that it initiate confidence in the minds of the people But the repeated violence of sexual offences and crimes against women, the actions of this government has not given any positive indication or confidence to the common man.
The survivor was admitted to hospital following the attack and was discharged on Saturday. While the family struggles to cope, the question of women's safety in Tamil Nadu is once again in spotlight. Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's get your details of the big political showdown in Andhra Pradesh over the 3,200 crore liquor scam that allegedly happened during the YSR Congress Party regime. Senior YSRCP MP Midun Reddy was arrested over the weekend, and now in its remand report, the investigative team, the CID, has even named former Chief Minister Jaganmohan Reddy as one among those who received kickbacks from the distillery companies. Jaganmohan Reddy, in his first statement since the arrest of Midun Reddy, has condemned the arrest, calling it a political conspiracy designed to silence the YSRCP. Jaganmohan Reddy has called the liquor scam case a targeted act of political vendetta by the TDP to cover up its own scams and failures. Let's get you all the reactions.
రాజకీయ కక్షలతో పెట్టిన ఇప్పుడు ప్రస్తుతానికి హరాస్ చేసి ఏదో అరెస్ట్ చేసి వాళ్ళ ఆనందం పొందొచ్చు, కానీ ఇది నిలబడే కేసు కాదు. పూర్తిగా ఒక తప్పు కేసు. దీని గురించి ధైర్యంగా ఎదుర్కొనేదానికి సిద్ధంగా.
Now it is in the purview of court. I think I'll make sure that I'll speak to cabinet, because it's not just I don't want to voice out my opinion. Later I don't want to correct it. At the appropriate time, once I sit with the cabinet and with the Honorable CM, then definitely I'll communicate.
This is not the right way of investigation, and we are going to actually move to the Supreme Court again with all these evidences, saying that this is wrong and immediate bail to be granted to Midun Reddy, and this case has no merit and has to be quashed. And this case, like the previous case that has been filed against him, is also a bogus case, and he'll come out with a clean sheet with flying colours. Thank you.
From day one of this Kutami Prabhutam, since that time they have come into the ruling, they've been only doing one thing, is targeting people, targeting them and framing false allegations and false cases against them, and then creating all the evidences and all other situations accordingly. So the ultimate motto is not to prove them guilty, but to send them into the police custody, judicial custody, torture them for 90 days, 120 days, and then once they are satisfied, and then they will leave them.
Baseless allegations. These are all baseless allegations. But they are trying to weaken the YSR Congress Party. Maybe they are trying to narrate the negative, some false allegations and all. That's why they are calling everybody who is actively working in YSR Congress.
So while a massive political showdown in Andhra Pradesh over the liquor scam, as the TDP and YSRCP are in fact locking horns over the arrest of YSRCP MP Midun Reddy. The question, however, that's being raised right now is, with the the CID remand report also referring to former Andhra Chief Minister Jaganmohan Reddy, is he going to be called in for questioning too? Now, clearly in the report, Jaganmohan Reddy is named as one of those who essentially got kickbacks from these deals, from the distillery companies. And that's why there are questions about whether Jaganmohan Reddy could also be in trouble in this alleged scam. For now, the YSRCP chief has dismissed all the allegations, saying very clearly it's politically motivated. These are images from yesterday when you had the YSRCP MP Midun Reddy being brought to the Rajahmundry jail amid high security. The YSRCP MP himself has dismissed all of the allegations against him. Let's move on to news from Kerala. For over a month, you had the F35 calling Kerala home, a $110 million British stealth jet that was just marooned in Kerala, drawing curiosity, memes, of course, and even questions in the UK Parliament. But the wait for UK is finally over. After 5 long weeks on Indian soil, the F35B is all set to return home tomorrow at 10 a.m. The fighter jet will be headed back.
For 5 long weeks, it did not move. A $110 million British stealth fighter jet stranded on Indian soil, soaked by monsoon rains, shrouded in silence, and fueling global curiosity. Now the wait is over. The F35B, one of the world's most advanced combat jets, is finally set to take off from Thiruvananthapuram airport on Tuesday morning. The aircraft was diverted to Kerala on June 14th after hitting bad weather over the Indian Ocean. But a technical failure left it grounded. Even engineers from the Royal Navy's HMS Prince of Wales could not fix it at first. As the jet sat motionless on the tarmac, images went viral. Memes flooded the internet, joking it had fallen in love with God's own country. In London, the jet's prolonged stay even reached the House of Commons, with lawmakers questioning how a fifth-generation fighter remained grounded for so long. A 14-member UK team was later flown in with specialist tools, working in silence. No updates, no statements. Exact timings and refueling stops remain classified. The mission may be near its end, but the story will linger. Now, with the skies clear and the runway waiting, the jet that wouldn't leave is finally ready to fly home. Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, news break coming in on the investigation into the illegal betting case in Telangana. Several South stars, Tollywood stars in particular, are in the ED net. Rana, Daggubati, Vijay, Devrakonda, they've been summoned by the Enforcement Directorate, as has Prakash Raj and Lakshmi Manchu. All of them receiving ED notices to cooperate with the ED investigation. These stars on your screens have been accused of promoting illegal betting apps. So Rana Daggubati has been asked to appear before the Enforcement Directorate in 2 days from now, July 23rd. Prakash Raj on July 30th, Vijay Devrakonda on August 6th and Lakshmi Manchu on August 13th. All of these stars are in the dock for having promoted illegal betting apps. And that's why right now they've been summoned by the Enforcement Directorate as well. Rana Daggubati is expected to appear before the ED officials in 2 days from now on July 23rd. Let me bring in Munish Pandey, who tracks the agencies for us. Munish, get us a sense really, what are the allegations right now against these actors? They've been summoned, yes, by the Enforcement Directorate, but could this potentially also lead to trouble for them?
Well, Akshita, at this point of time, we have been given to understand is that after preliminary investigation, the Enforcement Directorate lodged a case against several celebrities and influencers on the allegations that they received proceeds of crime, which means that the prime accused illegally got money through these illegal betting scams, and the same money was given to these actors in garb of promoting several online betting apps. And that is why these celebrities, which you mentioned, are under scanner of the Enforcement Directorate. Of course, trouble seems to be mounting for them because for ED, it is not only about why they promoted or if they're aware of, these illegal betting scams or not, but if they have received money, especially in cash, then it is going to be trouble mounting for these actors. And what we have been given to understand is that there is some primary evidence which the ED has gathered, based on which these actors have been summoned by the Enforcement Directorate. After their statement is recorded, the ED will decide whether they need to take any further action against them or some penalty has to be imposed against them.
All right, Monish, thanks very much for joining us with those details. All right, that's all we have time for in this edition of Super 6. Thanks very much for tuning in. I'm leaving you with a video of our space hero, Shubhanshu Shukla, undergoing rehabilitation currently. He's been posting these videos on his Instagram, and now this is the latest one where he's learning to walk all over again.